I was reading a Players Tribune piece that you penned. By the way, did you actually pen it, or did you tell it to someone else and they wrote it?
I've done a few of them. Which one?
Okay, the
Which one was I talking?
retirement
Was it?
one.
Yeah, it was mainly pretty much all me. I've had one in the past, not that one, but I've had a. I don't know if it was Players Tribune or somewhere else where they wanted me to have like a ghostwriter thing, and I told them like I can just let me just shoot something out to you. Like I wrote a million papers in college. I don't care. I enjoy this, and like, well, we want you to talk to somebody. So they got on the phone, talked to somebody forever. I think it was an Ohio State thing. Yeah, it was about Ohio State,
Right.
and they sent me back what they wanted to publish from me, and the dude said like, "Oh, I can't wait to get my Buckeye red and he did not even scarlet and gray is the colors of Ohio State, and they wanted me to write something first person, getting the colors wrong,
Oh
almost like
my.
saying, "Oh, here's PD the Buckeye," like it's not Brutus the Buckeye, like it was basic stuff like that. So I remember like I can't let anyone write for me, man. Like that's what happens. I feel like.
Yes, no, it's better. Charles Barkley famously once said that he didn't write something that was in his autobiography. So it's always better if it comes from you. The reason I bring this up, though, is in the one where you kind of announce your retirement, the beginning of it is all about how you have had a hard time saying no in your life. You always overschedule yourself. The day you got engaged, you went out and drove 2.5 hours to do an autograph signing. Like this has been a point of contention between you and your lovely wife. And so when I'm reading this, I'm thinking to myself, man, because initially, breaking the fourth wall, I asked you to come on, you didn't respond, and then I had to re-ask, and I was like, I think AJ doesn't want to do this show, and he's only saying yes because I'm being annoying and I'm a sort of friend of the show. So, true or false, do you regret saying yes to this?
No, Ariel, if I didn't want to do the show, guess what? I wouldn't do the show. I wouldn't. I don't want to be a dick to anybody, but I would. I don't. I definitely have done that in the past where I get myself into situations where I hate it. I'm like, why did I say yes? Like I should have been upfront and honest. So yeah, now I think as I get older, I'm a little bit better at saying no. Not great, but I'm better. And I like you. I'm a fan of everything that you have done. And we had a fun little situation. I don't know how we got into starting fighting, throwing insults back at forth at with each other for a while during this whole COVID deal. And I think we've come through the other side. So we'll see though. I always say it's a thin line between love and hate, Ariel.
Yes, amen. Actually, I was on your podcast, the Hawkcast, I think in 2017. You interviewed me, which was a huge honor. I couldn't even believe that you knew who I was. Curious, why haven't you done an episode since April of 2020?
That's a great question. So my podcast, yeah, which I'm a huge listener of other people's podcasts, always have been, did my own for a while. And then I started doing working with Pat McAfee pretty much 5 days a week now for the last over a year. And I don't know why, like the booking, from you're
Yeah.
hustling all over the place, the booking, everything about it. I think I love doing it. I just am not great at everything that goes with it and setting it up. And I have people that help me put it out and all that, but I don't know. I may get back to it, but it does feel different now, especially with the thing I have going over with Pat McAfee and all the boys. It's just a different dynamic. Sitting down doing a one-on-one thing for me, I don't know. I guess it would be good for me, honestly. I did it for a while and I haven't done that in a long time.
I thought you had a very good interview style. You're mild mannered. You don't put on a show. You don't put on an act. So I would encourage you to get back to it. The long form interviews, it's different than what you do with Pat. And I went back in the feed and I was like, wow, April 2020, that's a long time ago. I can understand you're very busy. I would say to you, I think you should pick it up maybe once a month, just to keep it rolling, so the feed isn't dead. You know what I mean?
It's not a bad. Yeah, I mean that's a very good idea. I need to hire a booker. That's what I need. Or just somebody to help me book. But that's everybody's issue because everyone is doing podcasts.
Did you always want to be a media guy when you were done? Because again,
No,
like no, okay, I'm not surprised to hear you say that. When did you start to think that this was a thing you wanted to do, or how did it come about?
I always talked to the media. Had plenty of respect for them and understood it, but I never sought it out, especially college, high school, whatever. When college, I guess, is when you kind of really are confronted where you talk to the media almost every single day, at least during the season when you're a football player. I'd say my first 3, 4 years in the NFL, I never thought it would I never thought about, going into the media. And then I believe after my, I don't know, six year in the league, I went to the broadcasting boot camp that the NFL puts on in Jersey, I believe it
Hmm.
was. And it was like 3.5 days of just, it was great. They gave us homework every night. You were there all 12, 15 hours doing every single form, writing scripts for prompters, calling fake games, doing every aspect you could do in sports. And I came away from that. I know some guys that were there like, man, this is not for me. This is a lot more work than I thought. This is whatever. I came away and said, this is awesome. Like, I want to dive in. I want to do this. So then I started to do little things and say yes to more opportunities that I had that maybe I turned down in the past.
And so that like that broadcasting boot camp, is that mandatory, or is it just basically the NFL says, hey, if anyone's interested, you could come out and do this?
You actually, yeah, you have to be accepted. You got to write a letter. You got to do
What?
all kinds of stuff. Yeah, because they put a lot of money and resources and people into that. You're getting, I mean, just all of the top people that are on TV that are behind the cameras. They come in and they put on like they'll give you presentations. They'll walk you through things. So no, you didn't have to go. I obviously for me to even go to that, I had to have some kind of interest in getting into the media and broadcasting. And I knew at the time I thought I really would want to call games as a color analyst for games. And so I was like, yeah, I want to go to this boot camp and see what it's like.
Any player that was there when you were there doing it in the prime of your career that has now turned into like a huge, TV guy, radio guy, a former player that you were
I
like,
think
wow,
that
this guy's really good. He's going to be something, and he turned out to be something?
there, man, I remember, yeah, there's a lot of guys there, but I don't know if like guys from my class, like a lot of them are all doing stuff everywhere, like we all are on different platforms and streaming and internet, but it wasn't like the guys that you're turning on watching ESPN right now. I'm probably a little too old, honestly. A lot of those guys are younger than me. Now, I guess Orlovsky is about my age. Swagoo is my age, but those guys weren't in boot camp with me. I don't know. A lot of those guys didn't go to that. Or people have gone to it, but not. I don't think it's like a thing that most players even seek out.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You don't really do much analyst work these days, right? You're mostly doing the shows and like this type of format. Is that accurate? And if so, why?
Yeah, that's definitely accurate. I did color commentary for college games for the last probably 3-4 years. This is the first season I'm not doing any games. I had been working doing a lot of these Conference USA games. I've been loving it, doing 10, 11, 12 games the last couple of years. This year they offered me a big package of games I looked at, but I knew what I've been doing with Pat McAfee and all of those guys, and once I started doing that 5 days a week, I realized like I was going to have to make a decision if I was going to go and do games at some point. I have 4 young kids. I'm coaching multiple teams, and you're gone all weekend if you go do games. You leave. I at least had my schedule pretty good where I would leave Friday afternoon. I come home Sunday morning, but still I'm missing a lot of those Saturday games. I'm coaching a lot of stuff. So this was the first year I haven't, been traveling around actually working games.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, I love doing games. That's why I got into broadcasting and media. Like, I don't care to give my opinion. I'm not an opinion guy. I'm not a hot take guy that's going to sit there and argue with people. Like, I tend to not even, I don't know. I just don't have an opinion on a lot of things that people have opinions on. Like, I can't work myself up.
Right.
I can't manufacture anger or something, or just for TV. I'm not that good of an actor. I'm not that good at doing that kind of stuff. So I like doing games because I can study all week like I'm playing the game. I sit there and I watch and go through everything, take all my notes, talk to the coaches, and get to the game. I'm like, okay, let's see if are they doing what I thought that what they've been doing the last 2 or 3 weeks? Are they switching up? It was fun to try to diagnose that.
Did you have any kind of relationship with Pat when you were playing?
No, I didn't. I didn't really even officially meet him, I think, until I was on the Bengals and we were playing the Colts in a preseason game. And I saw him we were preseason games. They let anybody be the captain, I think. And I was captain for that day. I think he was too. And I basically met him right there and then didn't really talk to him until I started doing a podcast with him on Barstool. When he was with Barstool and Jerry Thornton, we did a thing called Laces Out for one season in the NFL. And we did it every Sunday night, kind of recapping all the games. And we had a ton of fun. And so then I started going on his show every once in a while after that.
So how does the official offer come about for you to be like, you are a legit co-host on the show now? I know you're not on the entire time, but you're on 5 days a week, as you said. How did this all come about for you?
I was pretty organic, there was no plan by anybody. I would just call into a show. He would ask me every once in a while to come on the show, and I would call in and have fun for 30 minutes and have fun with the boys and enjoyed it. And then COVID hit. I remember school was shutting down. We were going to start the homeschooling March, whatever. And I remember the Sunday night before that, I texted him because we'd been doing a little bit more stuff together. I've been coming on a show I don't know. I don't know how often, but I text him, said, "Hey man, everything's shutting down. Sports aren't playing. We should do something together." And I text him, he's like, "That's a good idea." And then the next day, Monday, Zito, all the boys behind the scenes there put together graphics, everything. We had McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk, and we did that, I believe 4 days a week starting that day.
So it went from McAfee Hawk Sports Talk to then you just being a part of the show. That's not really a thing anymore, right?
No, because he's moved around. Pat used to be carried on CBS radio,
Right.
wherever. I don't know. Like I don't know how to find even the serious feed of the show that we do, really. But I he was on CBS, so I would come on after a show, I think, and he would just keep it rolling on YouTube with me. And then he moved to Sirius 12 to 3, and I said, "All right, well, I'll come on from 2 to 3 with you on Sirius and YouTube, and then we can go over." And that's what I was doing at first, and then just over time, now I go on his show's 12 to 3 on Sirius. I go on at 1, and I think yesterday the show went an hour and 10 minutes past 3 o'clock. We just hang out on YouTube, and that's a little after hours thing. So that's kind of how it started and where we are now. And it's been fun, man. I love it. It's the most, I've told him and all those boys, like, it's the most authentic and real I ever have been doing any media, or I can actually be myself, and that's how, and give my legit views. I don't have to try to speak in cliches. It's just fun. I get there with their personalities. It's fun, and I can be myself.
How do you feel when he's away and you have to go in the studio and you're the host? How comfortable are you doing that?
I mean, I'm not a first. I definitely, I've done that in studio, I don't know, 4 or 5 times maybe. It's definitely a different dynamic. It's a different vibe for sure, but I love it. But it's like anything. Like, for me, like, I don't say I get like nervous, but I definitely get anxious for things a lot. And I'm like, okay, I get really excited and maybe kind of, I don't know if I'd call it nervous, just anxious to do things. And that's exactly how I feel if I go in there and work there in person. Not as much anymore, but I still get excited, and it's something different. It's a different feeling, different setting. I mean, I'm holed up in this attic up here. This is kind of my, like, comfort zone. And then you go out there in the studio and know that I'm like, you're driving the ship. You're the guy doing everything. It's definitely different, but every time I do it, I'm like, man, this is so good for me. It's out of my comfort zone. It's not what I'm naturally inclined to do. So I'm like, this is making me better.
Are you I think a huge reason for the show's success over the past year has been Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays. Are you the reason why Aaron comes on the show? I mean, he's your former teammate, very good friend of yours. Are you the one who put them together?
No, we had Aaron on a few times, and I've been, good friends with Aaron since he was there. He got to Green Bay 1 year before me. I spent 9 years there. So kept in touch, see him all the time, and everything. And he had met Pat previously at a golf tournament, and then Aaron come on a few times. And then Pat, I remember, texted me and said, "Hey, you think Aaron would want to come on every Tuesday and make it a regular thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I would assume so." And I think I texted Aaron right there, and he said, "Absolutely. Like, let's do it. Let's get it done." And then he's now, we're in the second year of him coming on the show.
It's been huge for the show. I think it's been huge for Aaron. Of course, a few weeks ago, like the eyes and the ears of the sporting world were on your little show. Not that little anymore. The numbers aren't like, it was at like 75,000 concurrent viewers for his, big exclusive interview. Honestly, how awkward was that for you? I mean, that's your friend, right? And you guys are asking him some questions. I mean, I think the best part about what happened on that show was you guys just let him speak. That's usually the best way to
Or the
conduct.
worst part, depending on who you talk. Like, I don't get too caught up in people that get upset. Like,
Right.
I understand either way. Cool, have your opinion. I hope you do have an opinion. I hope you're not indifferent towards the show. But I don't get caught up in it. But I guess, yeah, there's a lot of people were super pissed, right, that we didn't press him on certain things.
No, I think the way you handled it was ultimately the best way. But for you, because you're a friend and also you're now sitting in the media chair, how awkward was that for you?
That's a little awkward, I guess, especially that situation, the COVID situation, how this all just bam comes out. I'm like, all right, well, I'm definitely not like a political guy. I am not someone that jumps out there, and, like I said, I don't have an opinion on a lot of things. And to, yeah, figure out exactly, that's why I think we just let him talk. And I knew going in too, like, that's always my answer. If I ever don't know what to do, just let the other person, like, you're not here to listen to me. Like, I'm doing a show. If we have Aaron Rodgers on, guess what? The less I need, no time with me on the mic. I need to say, "How you feeling, Aaron?" And that should be my only thing. And let this dude go. Like, that's how I feel like with that. And we have been trying to figure out follow-ups that were I guess at least that maybe so, I was trying to think of questions that other people would have. That's always a thing. Like, what would other people want to know? Um, but with especially when Aaron came on the first day to address the whole situation. Yeah, I said like 3 words. I wanted to hear what he had to say.
Did you feel, I mean, like afterwards, did he say anything to you privately? Did he feel okay with it? Because, okay, mainly what I'm wondering is, did he say to you, who was that moron in the luchador mask that was making fun of me afterwards? Did he ask about me? That's really what I want to know.
He did not ask about you. He
Damn it.
definitely knows who you are, though, Ariel.
Oh, no.
We were in Tahoe when Connor broke his leg in that fight. We were watching that. We were out in Lake Tahoe at a golf thing that we do every year, and we stay in a house that he gets, and we were watching that. And I think your name came up there for some reason. I don't know, but he knows all about it. He's a fan of MMA and knows you. And I've never heard him say, like, "Oh, who's that turd?" Like, "Oh, I'm on Dana's side." I haven't heard that from him.
Okay, good. It's all in good fun. The Joe Rogan thing. I mean, I had to walk through that.
Well,
door.
we've been messing with him too, with it. Like he even said Dr. Joe Rogan the other day. So
Right.
it's a whole, we get like, hopefully people can laugh a little bit about it.
Have you ever felt uncomfortable, whether it's in these interviews, and I know you kind of stand back a little bit, but even when you have to opine, some of these guys are your friends, former teammates. Sometimes you have to be critical. And I know you're not, the hot take guy, but you are there for what, 2 hours or so, 5 days a week. I mean, this is like 10, 11, 12 hours a week. Have you ever had to bite your tongue or feel bad about talking about a friend or a former teammate?
Yeah, not teammates. Absolutely. Like I definitely have a hard time with teammates. If someone's calling like my team, like one of my old teammates, that's a good guy, like a bum, or this guy's terrible. I want to be like, all right, like it's the NFL, man. Nobody's terrible. Like nobody's terrible player. Yes, compared to someone, they may have looked bad, but I try to take it that way. But yeah, I don't do well trying to criticize people I like or that are my friends. I can be somewhat like I can question their behavior, question what they're doing, but I'm not someone that can sit there and just go super hard on one of my buddies. The hard thing is a lot of the coaches around the league that I've been was in contact with are all over the place. I have a hard time people railing on them. Like I don't want to say bad stuff about a lot of these coaches that I love and I respect because I know I'll be, I'm texting with them, talking to them on the phone. I see them in person every once in a while. Like that's kind of sometimes what's harder for me.
Going back to that Players Tribune piece when you retired, one of the things you talked about was life after football and being worried that you would be the guy who sleeps until 11. You don't know what you're doing. You're meandering through life. If you didn't find this stuff, if you didn't find the media stuff, and your last game was 2016, I believe, what would you be doing 5 years later?
If I didn't do any broadcasting media stuff at all, you're saying? I don't know. Like my degree was in criminology. I wanted to be a cop coming into college. Maybe I would go into that field, but that's a tough one now too. I mean, good luck with that. I'm not sure. I think about that a lot. Same thing I think about. So I live in Columbus, Ohio. I'm from Centerville, Ohio, about an hour and a half from Columbus. And I always wondered if I didn't go to Ohio State, what would I be doing? Where would I live? Like I could have gone to Penn State, maybe. No one's living in Happy Valley when they're done. Where like I'm so lucky that my wife's from here and I went to school here. So a lot of my teammates came back here. I would have figured out something, I guess, through that and with them. But I never thought I got to read that Players Tribune piece. I can't imagine I was saying that I was going to sleep until 11. I mean,
no,
I've never slept until 11.
You said you were worried that you were going to be one of those guys.
Oh, one of those guys. Yeah, because I've seen it. Yeah. And I remember I've read a lot of stuff and talked to guys. But I was definitely we're not as much worried as like, okay, like now I definitely, I know that I am like a detail oriented guy. I need a purpose something to work for. So I always knew like physically and mentally, like I was going to be up and have my routine, working out every day and doing all that stuff to stay feeling good. But yeah, as far as like my profession, I don't know. That's why I understand like, hey man, I'm lucky. Like I love doing everything I'm doing. I've jumped around, done stuff everywhere. I'm serious all over, did a bunch of stuff for DAZN. But now where I'm at with Pat and the boys is it's where I'm meant to be, I think.
Thank you for watching this portion of the Ariel Helwani Show. For the entire conversation, I do suggest you check it out. Click here.